beautiful Angels Stadium in Anaheim. We are set to resume the Major League season. After the All-Star break, the Red Sox have made a trip out to the West Coast. They begin a 7-game journey to take on the first-place team in the AL West. It's the Los Angeles Angels. Well, hi, everybody. I'm Josh Mauer, filling in for Don Orsillo this week, but fear not, Jerry Remy, as always, is here. So, Jerry, the Red Sox played well at the end of the unofficial first half. They made up some ground in their division, but as they come out to the West, they have to take on a team the next 4 nights that's played even better than they have.
Well, the Angels have been playing great recently. They're taking over first place in the American League West, and they've done it for a lot of different reasons. First of all, you can see the numbers, 15-7 since June the 18th. That's the best in the major leagues. As I mentioned, first place in the West, first time since April 17th. They've been in that position over Houston, and Mike Trout has been sensational. Over the last 6 games, 478, 5 home runs, and 10 RBIs now. It's not just Mike Trout on the offensive side that's been doing it. They've been pitching well all season long, this team, but the offense has really come alive. Albert Pujols is playing very well with 26 home runs, but the other cast of characters also in this lineup, in the top 9, have also contributed and also chipped in with some big offense. So that's why right now this club is on a tremendous streak, and it's going to be a tough 4-game series for the Red Sox.
4 games here, 3 games against the second-place team in the AL West, the Houston Astros. It starts on a beautiful Friday night with a pair of southpaws. Wade Miley for the Red Sox. C.J. Wilson gets the call for Los Angeles. First pitch is coming up next. Audi A3 today. Dunkin' Donuts, America runs on Dunkin'. Toyota's website for deals, buyatoyota.com. DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of your Boston Red Sox. Nissan, get to Nissan's ride of your life for exciting performance and bonus cash. Shop ChooseNissan.com. And by Southwest Airlines, book your low fare now at Southwest.com. Oh, we've got a gorgeous Friday night. It's great to have baseball back after the week for the All-Star break. Angel Stadium in Anaheim is the site. Game 1 of the series with the Red Sox visiting the Los Angeles Angels. It's great to have baseball back. It's great to have the second baseman back. Dustin Pedroia activated off the DL before tonight's game, and with more on that, let's go to Garen Austin.
Thanks, Josh. Dustin Pedroia is back in the lineup tonight. I spoke with him earlier, and he told me that he's been focusing on getting stronger and getting ready to be back. He said it's always tough when you're out injured, but he is ready. Here's what manager John Farrell had to say about Pedroia returning to the lineup.
He's coming off a, pretty significant hamstring injury. So I think in Petey's mind, coming back, it was of the thought that he'd go every day. That's the way he's wired, as we know. But I think we've got to be a little cognizant, too, of, if there's a day in which it's best to give him a day of rest and recovery when the action is picked back up. So we'll see it as we go. Petey's been anywhere from 1, 2, and 3 this year. So, Bogey is obviously excelled with men in scoring position. And if this is an opportunity to maybe live out those same opportunities, that's where it will be. But if we're in a lineup with Brock in there along with Petey and Bogey, that might be a completely different look as well.
And Dustin Pedroia will bat second in tonight's order. He missed the last 16 games with that hamstring injury. I think Jerry, just having a guy like Pedroia back in the lineup when you come back from a break, that probably gives the team a little extra added boost, don't you think?
Well, I think it does, but you got to be careful with Pedroia because he always says he's ready to play, and I think the extra time over the All-Star break gave him that extra time that he needed. But a hamstring is very iffy. I mean, he's got to be very careful with himself, be stretched out all the time because it can come back on you in a hurry. So that's why Farrell said, he may not play every day at the beginning. They may have to give him some time off. Just to rest out a little bit. We'll see how he performs in the ball game tonight, how he's running down the baselines, how he's reacting defensively to things, just to see, take a gauge of where he is exactly.
And no rehab assignment for Pedroia, so he'll be facing game pitching for the first time since the injury. Well, let's take a look at where we stand in the we're going to look at the American League East. It's a race, it's cluttered. The Red Sox still find themselves, Jerry, in 5th. But at the moment, after a Yankees win, 7 games back.
That's a big margin, to start the second half of the season. And as we talked about it earlier, it's all about their pitching. Can they pitch well enough in the second half? Can they get some of their players hot offensively that's going to be able to overtake the Yankees? I got to tell you, watching the Yankees the last time we saw them over the weekend, they look very, very good.
Well, tonight's Red Sox lineup is brought to you by your Eastern Hyundai dealers. We mentioned Pedroia batting second. He'll play second base. Meanwhile, the guys in the middle of the order, Ortiz and Hanley Ramirez, each hot before the All-Star break. Ortiz homered in 4 of his last 12. Ramirez, 4 of his last 9 games. Ryan Hannigan batting well in that 9-hole as well. Hannigan, a guy who reached base in 10 of his last 18 plate appearances before the break. For the Angels tonight, their starting pitcher is presented by your New England Nissan dealers. And for the second time this season, Boston gets a look at the veteran southpaw, C.J. Wilson. You take a look at the numbers, 7-7. He lost his final start before the break. That was in Seattle. The guy who the Boston Red Sox defeated back in May, and they hit him pretty well. We'll talk about that later on. A game that Mike Napoli homered twice at Fenway Park. Overall, good numbers, though, in his career against the Red Sox. 6-4, 2.88 on the ERA.
The Angels defense is brought to you by DraftKings. They are 8th in the American League with 51 errors in 88 games. David Freese will be at third base. Eric Ibar, the shortstop. Johnny Giavotella at second base. And Albert Pujols, the first baseman. Left to right, Daniel Robertson, Mike Trout, Cole Calhoun, and Chris Iannetta doing the catching for C.J. Wilson.
Tonight's umpires are brought to you by Buick. Experience the new Buick lineup during this year's Sign and Drive. See your local Buick dealer today. Bob Davidson is behind the plate with crew chief Hunter Wendelstadt over at first. David Rackley has second, and Marvin Hudson over at third base. The men in black tonight. So ready to go for the first time since Sunday afternoon. The Red Sox in Anaheim tonight, and Mookie Betts will lead things off. C.J. Wilson misses outside. It's a gorgeous Friday night. So glad you're with us here on NESN as the unofficial second half of the season gets underway. Betts red hot before the All-Star break. Raised his average over 40 points in a month. 1-1 the count on Mookie. Overall, a .277 average with 10 homers, 22 doubles, and 6 triples. That one into left. And a play for Daniel Robertson. Robertson puts it away, and that's how the game begins. Betts is retired, and Wilson gets his first mound.
And we talk so much about C.J. Wilson, how many games? 23 games and 11 starts against the Red Sox. As a starter against Boston, 6-3 with a 2.94 ERA. Red Sox have seen plenty of him between Texas and the Angels.
Well, welcome back to Dustin Pedroia, batting for the first time since he hurt his right hamstring on the 24th of June. He missed 16 games, Jerry, with this hamstring injury.
Now rounding first base for Pedroia, and could feel a tweak as he just reached the bag, and of course right there in the right leg, right behind the knee. That's a tough spot right there to get the hamstring pull, and something that took him a little bit longer than I think he expected to take. He's never had a problem like that in the past.
Remember him saying after that game, I never strained my hamstring.
0-2. Tough injury.
Wilson's 2-strike pitch. And a fastball is up and away. It's 1-2 on Pedroia. I mentioned this earlier. He hasn't faced game pitching, just batting practice. Did not go on a rehab assignment. So the first time he's seen a live pitcher in over 3 weeks. You figure if anybody can come back and be hot as he was before he got hurt, Pedroia might be that guy. Hitting .352 since the 22nd of May. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Into right center field. This will be Calhoun, the right fielder, taking charge in the alley. And a couple of flyouts from the first 2 men up for the Red Sox here tonight.
Now you mentioned Pedroia not getting any rehab at bats, and it will take him some time. And you can see in his first at bat him trying to go to the opposite field. When guys have not hit a lot, that's what they try to do. Move the ball up the middle to the opposite field. That time Pedroia flying out to right field.
So with the bases empty and 2 out, Wilson faces Xander Bogaerts. He gets ahead 0-1 with a fastball. Just about nobody in the American League hitting as well as Xander right before the break. Currently on a 10-game streak. Borderline strike there at the knees, and it's quickly 0-2.
That's a tough pitch right there. That ball looked like it was down and away from Bogaerts.
So Xander quickly in a 2-strike hole. And Wilson misses low with the off speed.
Red Sox will see the fastball, the cut fastball, breaking ball, and changeup from Wilson.
34 years old is C.J. Wilson. Fisted the other way. That's a fair ball past first base, and Bogaerts is going to get 2 on it. Calhoun digs it out. An opposite field double for Xander. And that is how the Red Sox get their first base runner of this series.
And keeps a hitting streak going now at 11 games. Just really got inside on Bogaerts, but he got his hands inside the baseball and able to push that ball right down the first base line. So with 2 outs, the Red Sox get a man in a scoring position. See how the defense was set up by playing him to pull was Pujols at first base with a lot of room between Pujols and that first base line.
Boy, with where that pitch was, Jerry, you figure that'd be almost impossible to keep fair.
Just good hand action right there, getting the hands inside the baseball and moving it to the opposite field.
So now David Ortiz with a 2-out RBI opportunity. Back after the illness forced him to miss Sunday's game against the Yankees. David said that his temperature was 104 degrees when they sent him home before that finale before the break. He also said he's feeling much better now. .231 on the season for Ortiz with 15 home runs. 43 runs batted in for the Red Sox veteran DH. And Wilson gets ahead 0-2.
That 2 pitches in the identical same spot from C.J. Wilson, down and away from David Ortiz. This looks like it might be the cut fastball that time going away from Ortiz. David only hit 150 in his career against C.J. Wilson.
Bogaerts at second with 2 out. And a check swing foul by Ortiz keeps the at bat alive at 0-2.
And the Angels check out of the shift with 2 strikes on Ortiz. They put Ibar back at that shortstop position.
C.J. Wilson now in his 4th season pitching for the Angels after signing a big free agent deal before 2012. Got 5 years and $72.5 million. Another 0-2. So Bogart's a 2-out double. Ortiz battling against Wilson. Right to third, and Freese reaches to his side to make the catch about waist high. A double by Bogarts goes for naught. Wade Miley to the mound in the bottom of the first. First inning in Anaheim. Johnny Giavotella, Cole Calhoun, and then Mike Trout. Miley starts Giavotella with strike one. Well, for Wade Miley, he has started consecutive Red Sox games. Got the call on the Sunday loss to the Yankees before the break. And now 5 days later, he gets game one post All-Star. 1-1 on Giavotella, a .271 hitter. So for Miley, pitching on regular rest.
Yeah, I think the whole idea of this is Miley's a guy that's capable of giving you multiple innings in the course of a season, 200 innings.
Giavotella back to the hill, and Miley takes care of him with a perfect toss over to first. Well, the Red Sox starting pitcher is presented by your local New England Audi dealers. 8 wins, 8 losses in a somewhat up and down first half of the season. ERA just below 5 for Wade, who lost to the Yankees on Sunday. Before that, had been pitching very well. Gave up 6 runs in 5 1/3 innings at Fenway Park on Sunday afternoon. One of his best starts of the season, if not his best, came against this Angels team in May. Here's Calhoun. Cole Calhoun, the young right fielder, takes ball one. Second year as a full-time outfielder for Mike Scioscia. And good production from the left-hander out of Arizona State. 1 ball and 1 strike. Miley in the game against the Angels on May the 24th pitched 8 full innings. His longest outing of the year, and he gave up just a run and 4 hits. Perhaps inarguably his best game of the season to date. Calhoun missing the pitch to fall behind 1-2.
Even lefty against lefty. They're in the shift against Calhoun on the infield, all to the right side, and shading him to the opposite field in the outfield.
1-2. And Miley misses away, of course, in his first year with the Red Sox. Wade acquired in that offseason deal from the Diamondbacks.
Here's the shift we were talking about, and you can see Mookie Betts shading him slightly to the opposite field in the outfield.
When you play a shift like that, Jerry, the pitcher and the catcher have to be on the same page as the defense, right? You have to pitch to the way you're defending.
Exactly, and that's what they're trying to do right here. Make sure that if he pulls, it's on the ground. Right now they're having a tough time getting on the same page. It was Calhoun calling timeout as Hannigan was calling for the fastball away.
10 homers this season for Calhoun, who takes a called third strike. 2 out in the first inning. And the Angels lineup is brought to you by your New England Chevy dealers. You've seen from Johnny Giavotella, Cole Calhoun. Here come the big bats. Mike Trout, Albert Pujols, third and fourth. No team in baseball, you'd have to say, can match that middle of the order. David Freese, a former World Series MVP, hit sixth. Daniel Robertson, late hitting at the bottom of the order. Providence native Chris Iannetta catches and bats eighth. And here comes the two-time reigning All-Star most valuable player. How about the accolades that have been heaped upon young Mike Trout? Just this week alone, he's been named the American League Player of the Week, the All-Star MVP, even won an ESPY. Best Major League Player on Wednesday night at those awards. This guy's going to take home a lot of hardware, you figure, before it's done. Those 26 home runs tie him for the AL lead with his teammate and man on deck, Albert Pujols.
The change up that time by Miley, going down and away from Trout. Trout in his career 1 for 3 off Wade Miley.
The 1-2. Came inside with a fastball, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Change up away, fastball back in, hoping that Trout would try to jam himself on that last pitch.
On the ground to shortstop, Xander Bogaerts has a play behind the bag. Low throw, but dug out, and Miley has himself a 1-2-3 inning. On to the second, scoreless in Anaheim.
So it's Pedroia who makes this play on the left side of the infield, and second basemen don't like that because they're not used to the long throw. You see Pedroia almost double clutching when he got that ground ball, then the slide out flip to first base like he was turning a double play. So, you know, shortstops are used to going to the second base side, but second basemen are not used to going to the other side.
Caught me off guard. First chance, too, coming back off the DL for Pedroia. And a difficult one at that. So Ramirez, Sandoval, and Napoli here in the second inning against C.J. Wilson. And Hanley skies it behind shortstop. Mike Trout takes charge, moving into left center. And Ramirez is out number 1. Ace Ticket has the best seats at the lowest prices to all the games at Fenway, all with a 200% guarantee. Right now, Ace Ticket has special savings on all Red Sox games, including the Yankees. Visit Ace Ticket or call 1-800-MY-SEATS. Pablo Sandoval hitting with 1 out. Lefty on lefty, but Pablo still bats left-handed these days. 1-0 from C.J. Wilson. 93 big league wins over 11 seasons for Wilson. Most of that with the Rangers. Remember, Wilson was an instrumental part of Texas reaching the World Series in 2011. 1-2 on Sandoval. CJ started 2 games in that World Series, and then he pitched in relief in Game 7. And he got the big contract from the Angels. 2-2 on Sandoval. Napoli would be next. And a full count now on Pablo.
That's rare to have Sandoval get to a 3-2 count.
Pablo's a career 300 hitter after the All-Star break. Lashes that one into the seats. Still 3-2. To be exact, 301 batting average in his 7 major league seasons with the Giants. Another payoff pitch coming from Wilson. Sandoval tired of waiting. And you saw the bat from Pablo come to life towards the end of that half. That time foul into the seats left field side. Pablo hit over 300 for the past month. 30 games, 36 hits. Three-two pitch, number 3. Ball 4, he walked it. And a terrific at-bat by Pablo. He's a 1-out base runner here in the 2nd inning.
Yeah, Mike Scioscia can't believe it because Sandoval hardly ever walks. That's only 14 walks for Pablo on the season. Take a look at that last pitch from C.J. Wilson. It looked like the ball was outside. Mike Scioscia didn't think so. C.J. Wilson didn't think so, but Sandoval did.
First walk of the night. And here comes Mike Napoli. Well, much talked about Napoli in at first base tonight, coming against a team that he destroyed back in May. Homered in all 3 games in the series at Fenway Park. 4 long balls total in that series. Tonight's Cold Hard Facts are brought to you by Clean, Crisp Coors Light. You see the numbers for Napoli in that series, May 22nd through 24th. 4 of his 5 hits left the yard. Two strikes to count, and these were those 2 home runs that he hit against this pitcher, Jerry, C.J. Wilson.
Now, if you look at the location of the pitches, the first one's a fastball inside. The next one's going to be a breaking ball right there that hangs out over the plate. And when Napoli gets pitches like that, he can do some damage with them.
Behind a couple of strikes. Gets away from Iannetta. The wild pitch will advance Sandoval into scoring position with 1 out. Well, he tried to get Napoli to fish after an 0-2 pitch, and this one in the dirt.
Yeah, not even close. The ball bouncing and caroming off Iannetta toward that third base dugout. And once that happens, Sandoval has no problem getting the scoring position as he gets waved on by Napoli.
Second straight inning, the Red Sox put a runner in scoring position. This time, it comes with 1 out. 1-2 on Napoli. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Napoli, for whatever reason, and John Farrell talking to the media before the game, didn't really seem to know why this is. But as you can see, he has destroyed LA Angels pitching over the years.
That's because he hates the manager, Mike Socha. They did not get along when they were out here. And sometimes you come back and you just haunt people.
2-2. Another 3-2 count from C.J. Wilson.
Plus, at that time, Napoli was a catcher, and Socha very, very tough on his catchers. And was extremely tough on Mike Napoli.
We saw the highest OPS of any player against the Angels. He also has the highest career slugging percentage. Over 700 he slugged against this team. 3-2 with one out. .193 average in 80 games on the season for Mike. We saw those numbers, though, against LA. Wilson got him. First strikeout for CJ. It comes on a 3-2 pitch.
That looks like the cut fastball that time from CJ Wilson, about 85 miles an hour. And right at the bottom of the strike zone, so they don't leave a pitch inside that time for Napoli to handle. And they pick up the strikeout.
So if the Red Sox are to take the lead, they'll need something with 2 outs. Here comes Shane Victorino, just back from the DL, only over a week before the All-Star break hit. 0-1 the count on Shane. Hitting .240 on the season. He's had 2 separate stints on that disabled list. The 0-1. Over the screen and foul, and Wilson gets ahead. Fans, Monday, July 27th is now Pedro Fathead giveaway night at Fenway Park to celebrate baseball's newest National Baseball Hall of Famer and his soon-to-be-retired number. All fans in attendance will receive a limited edition number 45 Fathead decal. Visit BostonRedSox.com to buy your tickets today. Get yourself a Fathead of Pedro. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
I don't know exactly what that is. A fat head of Pedro Martinez. Pedro doesn't have a fat head. I don't know what.
They make it into one.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
They never made a Remy fathead?
No. No, it's fat enough as it is.
They were all the rage, the fatheads. I'm sure the Pedro one's neat. Strike 3 called. Victorino taking a look at a fastball. Scoreless into the bottom of the second. Back to work, and he'll deal with Albert Pujols to begin the bottom half of the second here in Anaheim. 1-0 on the All-Star. Pujols having somewhat of a renaissance these past couple of months. 26 homers, tied for the league lead. Backing over the screen. One ball and one strike on Albert Pujols, 35 years old, now in his 4th season out here in Southern California. And as you can see, after somewhat of a slow start to the year, he's right up among the league leaders in the power categories. 2-1 to Pujols. Just 2 home runs shy of moving into 15th on the all-time major league list. 2-2. Signed a 10-year deal with the Angels, did Albert. Miley got him looking. Right at the knees over the outside corner. That's his 2nd strikeout.
Now, both strikeouts that have come from Miley have been contested by the Angel players. This ball right at the bottom of the strike zone, a changeup at 83. And Bob Davidson, the home plate umpire, is not a guy that takes a lot of baloney back there. So they better be careful on what they have to say to Davidson, because he's got a pretty short fuse.
I think, Jerry, we've seen some low strikes, giving the bottom of the zone really each pitcher thus far here tonight.
Yeah, I think as you look back at the year, too, the strike zones increased. So I think low, high, east, and west.
Eric Ibar with a 1-1 count. I know that's been a bone of contention for many of the Red Sox thus far in 2015. To third base and a play for Sandoval. Was playing in, and 2 away here in the 2nd inning.
The Red Sox defense is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. They are 8th in the American League with 51 errors in 89 games. Pablo Sandoval at third base, Andy Bogarts the shortstop. Dustin Pedroia at second, Mike Napoli the first baseman. Left to right, Hanley Ramirez, Mookie Betts, Shane Victorino, and Ryan Hannigan doing the catching for Miley.
5 up, 5 down thus far for the 28-year-old left-hander. Now he deals with David Freese. The base is empty. 1-0 on the former Cardinal. You can see a bit of a slump in the first half. Getting a 244 for Freese. And this one a play for Bogarts. Sander takes care of that. Miley perfect through the first 2. Scoreless game here at Angel Stadium. Sox order against Wilson, Ryan Hanigan, Mookie Betts, and Dustin Pedroia. So here's Hanigan to lead things off. Catcher hitting at .237. He's batted well since coming back from his knuckle fracture. And the Red Sox, perhaps most importantly, have played well when he's been behind the dish. 1-1 the count there from Wilson.
Yeah, I think he's brought a confidence back to some of the pitchers on this staff. And they've been working with a couple of rookies, and Hanigan certainly has more knowledge than the rookies do, obviously. And I think, they've kind of responded to that a little bit. He's also swung the bat well. 6 from his last 18 since coming off the DL.
They're 5-2 in games he's caught since coming back from that injury. 2-2 from Wilson.
I think that's impressed me, the way he's used the opposite field. They've been using him to hit and run, do different things, but by moving the ball to the opposite field.
Wilson has given up a hit and a walk through the first 2 innings. Another full count. It's the third 3-2 count. Wilson gave up 3 runs in his start before the All-Star break Saturday night last week. That was in Seattle. Took the loss in 6 2/3 innings. And a walk to Hanigan. So the Red Sox with a leadoff runner here in the third. It's time now for tonight's Dunkin' Donuts poll question. All right, fans, did you like the new Home Run Derby format? Text 1 for yes. Text 2 if you didn't. Text your answer to 536. 536. Message and data rates may apply. 1 message per vote. Visit NESN.com/terms for terms and conditions and privacy policy. And then we'll give you our thoughts. Mookie Betts takes ball 1.
That seemed to be a popular thing, putting a clock on the home run derby thing. And I'm still waiting for a bunting contest, and that will excite me more than the home run hitting contest. But I don't think I'm ever going to see that.
Well, the one thing I liked is they definitely sped up the pace. I think everybody seemed to be happy about that. Betts into left. Underneath it just a tad, and Daniel Robertson lines it up for out number 1 here in the third. A lot of outs in the air thus far for C.J. Wilson. Pedroia flew to right in his first at-bat. Well, the sun beginning to set. It's a gorgeous night here. My first trip, what a setting. Pedroia towards right field. Calhoun over towards the line. He's got room in fair territory, and there are 2 away. Second time tonight that Pedroia flies out to Cole Calhoun.
And Pedroia not seeing very many pitches either, swing early in the count after sitting out quite some time with that hamstring injury.
Tune in August 18th and 19th to NESN for coverage of the WEEI NESN Jimmy Fund Telethon presented by Arabella Insurance Foundation. Arbella Insurance Foundation, here for the Jimmy Fund and here for good. Special nights on the 18th and 19th next month. Xander Bogaerts looks at ball 1. Opposite field went his double back in the first inning, right just about over top of first base. With a low strike call, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike.
Red Sox flew out here yesterday and had a optional workout late in the afternoon here in Anaheim. Get a little batting practice in, take some ground balls.
On the ground to Ibar at short. He'll go the short way. Force on Hanigan, and Wilson is through 3 innings. Still scoreless in Anaheim. 2.5. And Wade Miley back to work. C.J. Cron, Chris Iannetta, and Daniel Robertson. That's the bottom third of Mike Socha's order, due up. The DH is Cron, guy who's spent a good bit of time in AAA this season. DraftKings.com is paying out over $300 million this baseball season. DraftKings has given out $34 million to Boston residents alone since the site launched. Get your free entry into a one-day fantasy baseball contest today using promo code NESSN. The ball and 2 strikes on Cron, a power threat. On the ground to Bogarts up the middle. One away in the third. It's time now for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use hashtag NESSNDataStrongFan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. Tweet your photos now, brought to you by T-Mobile. The strongest fan photos. Well, that's already 5 groundouts induced by Wade Miley tonight, Jerry.
That's certainly a good sign. Keeping the ball down, his fastball, his changeup. Not too many breaking balls so far in this game for Miley.
Chris Iannetta takes it low. It's 1 ball and 1 strike on the veteran catcher. Iannetta hitting below the Mendoza line this year. Just 191. 4th-year backstop for the Angels. Before that, a long time with the Colorado Rockies. 2-1. And Iannetta, a New Englander, grew up in Providence. The 2-1. Close, but called ball 3.
You got Iannetta from Providence. You got Hannigan from Massachusetts. 2 catches today, local kids.
Full count. Fastball on the 3-1 pitch, fouled back. Chris played his high school ball at St. Raphael's Academy in Pawtucket. Storied program. 3-2, he got him. Good off-speed pitch again from Wade Miley. That is his 3rd strikeout.
Man, Miley goes to the slider. He's got a couple of strikeouts on fastballs. This time the breaking ball. Slider down and in, and Miley doing a good job again keeping that ball down. That time down and out of the strike zone.
He's retired 8 in a row, and that brings up the number 9 hitter, Daniel Robertson. Bluffed a bunt there and somehow got out of the way of a pitch darting towards his feet.
Now 2 outs, so you prefer to have your guys swing away and try to hit a double with getting the scoring position. That time Robertson faking a bunt.
1-1 on Robertson, who's spent most of the year in AAA for the Angels. That's Salt Lake City. Limited time with the Angels, 273 hitter. And Miley ahead, 1-2. Just attacking these hitters thus far tonight. 2 out here in the 3rd. The 1-2. Close, but ball 2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And when Miley gets into a rhythm like he's in, he works about as fast as anybody. Strike 3. Robertson is rung up. That's the 4th punch out for Miley, and we are scoreless through 3. First, Eastern Bank is here to make your banking and your day easier. See how at easternbank.com. Here, you're first. Eastern Bank. Ortiz, Ramirez, and Sandoval. 4, 5, and 6 in the lineup. Due up. David looks at a breaking ball for a strike from C.J. Wilson.
That's a rare curveball right there from C.J. Wilson. Doesn't throw too many of those.
That lineout ended the first inning with Bogarts at second base. 0-2. Well, through 3 innings tonight, we have 1 combined base hit. Wilson gave that up to Bogarts in the first. He's also walked 1. Walked 2, beg your pardon. The ball and 2 strikes on Ortiz. You think coming off of a 4-day layoff, maybe the pitchers have a little bit of an advantage?
I think so. You know, I always felt that way as a player, that when you didn't get at bats for 3 days or 4 days, it took you a while to get back in the groove. And of course, pitchers are used to working on 4 days rest. So I think the advantage does go to the pitcher. You know, it's a game you play every day, and it's just strange when you get 3 or 4 days off. It really takes you out of your rhythm for a while.
2-2 to Ortiz. Into center field, a base hit for Big Papi. David Ortiz leads off the 4th for the 2nd inning in a row. The Red Sox have the leadoff man aboard.
Let's take a look at the sequence on David Ortiz that time. They start him with a curveball for a strike, which C.J. Wilson doesn't throw very many of. Then they go back to the cut fastball away for the swing and miss. They waste a high fastball that Ortiz doesn't chase. They waste another one that he doesn't chase. Then he gets the breaking ball, the slider, and puts it into center field for the base hit. So good job up there, not chasing that high fastball by David Ortiz.
Feeling healthy coming off the break. David Ortiz has the 2nd hit of the night for Boston. And here comes Ramirez. One ball and no strikes. Hanley flew to center back in the 2nd inning. Two and 0. Well, if you're wondering who I am, Josh Mauer filling in for Don Orsillo tonight. Jerry Remy, of course, is always alongside. Thanks for being with us. It's late back on the East Coast. Getting your weekend started with us. 2-0. And a double play ball towards third. Freeze. Giavotella. Pujols. 5-4-3.
Now that was easy because of that first hop. A big high hop to David Freese at third base, and that made the double play easy. He just gets rid of it very quickly to his second baseman, Giavotella, and the relay to first base gets Hanley Ramirez by a couple of steps. Nice feed to Giavotella about belt high, just exactly where the second baseman likes it.
So the base is empty for Sandoval. Can't hold back, and it's 0-1. You know, Jerry, we each have something in common.
What is that?
We each had our major league debuts in this ballpark.
That's very true. That's true.
Towards second base, Giavotella with a backhand. And after a leadoff single, Wilson gets an easy 4th. We are still scoreless. Johnny Giavotella, the leadoff batter. The number one hitter in the lineup for Mike Scioscia, takes strike one. It's been a great start for Wade thus far. He's retired the first 9 and 4 of them on strikeouts.
The last time he faced the Angels, he retired the first 14 batters that he faced in that game. That was at Fenway Park.
Giavotella bounced out to the pitcher his first time. First-year Angel came over from the Royals this offseason to Johnny Giavotella. Become just about an everyday second baseman for Mike Scioscia. Pretty much just a utility man with Kansas City. And it's 3-1. Miley wanted that pitch.
Not a bad pitch either. Could have gone his way. Bottom of the strike zone. On the corner. Pitch is going to have that one.
In a right for Victorino, who backtracks. One away in the fourth. Now, by putting people and communities first, Eastern Bank helps make good things happen. Watch how good things are happening to local people at easternbank.com/goodthingshappen. Fine catch by Victorino, backpedaling there. And now here's Cole Calhoun, a strikeout victim, his first time up. That might have been the ball that Giavotella just hit, Jerry. The hardest hit ball we've seen against Miley thus far.
That was. Ball hit well, struck well in the opposite field. But Victorino, who generally gets a very good jump on the ball, did that time also.
Out of play, nothing in two. Attention, Red Sox Nation. There's a reason why the Boston Red Sox and the rest of America run on Dunkin', because our coffee is consistently smooth and delicious. Dunkin' Donuts coffee started right here in Boston. It's the #1 coffee in New England. So when you want the best coffee in town, there's only one choice. Dunkin' Donuts. The Boston Red Sox run on Dunkin'. Two strikes on Calhoun. 2-2. Jerry, you mentioned that game that Miley pitched against the Angels back on the 24th of May. He only walked one batter in 8 innings. It's a 3-2 count now. Just 4 hits in those 8 innings on that day. So he likes dealing with this Angels lineup. Great success so far this season. The payoff. Still 3-2 on Cole Calhoun. And you see who waits next. There's Mike Trout. Calhoun, an 8th round pick by the Angels back in 2010. In the air to left and playable for Hanley Ramirez. In front of the warning track, Ramirez grabs out number 2.
I tell you, it's tough right now for fly balls and pop-ups. It's twilight here in Southern California, and if you take your eye off the baseball at any point, you're not going to be able to pick it up again. It's very tough to see pop-ups and fly balls at this stage of the night.
Hanley Ramirez able to deal with it there. He made the grab. And now Mike Trout grounded into his shift to the second baseman Pedroia back in the first.
Same shift on in this at-bat too for the Red Sox.
3 men on the left side of the infield. Outside corner, and it's 1-1.
Napoli well off that line at first base.
A ball and a strike on Trout. 2-1 the count. And you can see why they shift. The majority of his hits have been pulled to left. That's how to play on the right side. It's time for tonight's Twisted But True Fact. On Tuesday, Mike Trout became the first player in Major League history to win back-to-back All-Star Game MVP awards. Twisted Tea is the hard iced tea that tastes like real iced tea. Be a little twisted. Got him. Breaking ball from Miley strikes out Trout. Fifth punch out for Wade Miley. We go to the fifth. In a pitcher's duel. Scoreless game in Anaheim, and Mike Napoli to lead it off. Pitch just a little bit low. Napoli struck out with a man at second base in his first at bat. Josh Mauer and Jerry Remy from Angel Stadium of Anaheim. It's fisted towards second, and Giavotella. One out. MLB.TV Premium is the #1 live streaming sports service. Watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in true HD on over 400 mobile and connected devices. Visit MLB.TV for details.
How strange is this? We got a game after the All-Star break where your All-Star's not playing in it. Brock Holt not getting a start tonight in this game.
Victorino, a strikeout victim his first time.
I'm sure that in the coming days, probably starting tomorrow, that Holt will be starting to shift around the field and play different positions like he did prior to Pedroia getting hurt.
Fastball for a strike. It's 0-2. John Farrell said to the reporters before the game, the biggest reason that Holt was not out there tonight was all the extra travel he had during the break. Victorino in the left field. He's got himself a base hit. A looper in front of Robertson, and a one-out threat for the Red Sox in the fifth inning.
A little bit of an off-balance swing that time by Victorino. Probably a changeup that time from C.J. Wilson. And Victorino just loops it into left field for the base hit. That's a good pitch he hit right there. That ball down, away from Victorino, off speed, and still able to make that contact and drop it in front of Robertson for the base hit.
Hit number 3 for the Red Sox, and now Ryan Hannigan. 1 on, 1 out. And it's 0-1. You talked about Holt having to move around the diamond again. He was getting used to second base with Pedroia on the DL. And one of the reasons that Ned Yost selected him to that American League All-Star team was his versatility. Ned Yost made no secret about that. In an All-Star game, that now matters. Good to have a guy who can plug anywhere. Played left field on Tuesday night in Cincinnati. Now enjoying a night off, I suppose. Two strikes on Hannigan, and they'll check on Victorino over at first base.
Well, Hannigan's a guy that'd be using a hit and run, but they won't be hitting running with the no ball and 2-strike count.
You see Victorino perfect in stolen base attempts. One out. The 0-2. Wilson originally drafted by the Rangers. 5th round pick back in 2001. A long time in that Texas organization for C.J. Wilson, who's now 34 years old. Victorino has picked his spots very well. Long time since he's been caught. The 1-2. Count evens on Ryan Hannigan. Top of the order, and Mookie Betts waiting next. Thus far, it's been the Red Sox really with the game's only scoring opportunities. It's strike 3 there to Hannigan, though.
Now they come back inside on Hannigan and pick up that inside corner. Most pitches had been away from him, as you can see, with the exception of the second pitch. Back inside with that fastball, picks up the corner, has Hannigan jumping back, and no argument at all from Hannigan.
The Amica Pitch Zone, brought to you by Amica Insurance. Great service, great coverage, and a great price for auto, home, or life insurance. So now 2 down with Victorino still at first. Mookie Betts has flown out to left each time he's hit.
Sure, Victorino has the green light to go if he feels he can get a good jump.
Well, you can see that Wilson is very concerned with him running.
Yeah, not real good moves right there from C.J. Wilson.
Mookie Betts, since June 11th, hit .366. Nothing in 1 here. Jerry, he raised his average over 40 points in the month before the All-Star break. 234 to 277.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge increase, obviously. And, you know, Mookie Betts has been playing great all-around baseball. Offensively, defensively, running the bases. Star quality.
0-1. Out of play, it's 0-2. I think we had a tendency maybe to forget early in the year how young and relatively inexperienced he was for playing every day at this level.
Not too long ago, he was playing second base in the minor leagues. All of a sudden, he's become one of the best defensive center fielders in the American League.
I watched a lot of that. The 0-2. In the center, Trout racing back before the track. Mike Trout puts it away to retire the side. Betts gives one a ride, but we're halfway through and scoreless. Albert Pujols took ball one leading off the bottom of the fifth. Wade Miley back to work in this scoreless game. He struck Pujols out looking back in the second. 1 ball and 1 strike. Wade Miley's pitching line is brought to you by Ace Ticket. Hard to do much better, Jared.
No hits.
The play for Bogarts deep in the hole. And Pujols, not the fleetest of foot. He got him relatively easily. So that is 13 in a row. Join Ben Cherington and John Farrell along with team scouts, ex-players, and many more at Boston University on August 22nd and 23rd for the 5th annual Sabermetrics Scouting and the Science of Baseball Seminar. All proceeds from the ticket sales to this event go directly to the Jimmy Fund. You can get more information at saberseminar.com. The ball trickles foul off the bat of Ibar. You can also get more information about this Sabermetrics Scouting and Science of Baseball Seminar. You can email saberseminar@gmail.com. You a Sabermetrics fan?
That's something I should attend and learn a little bit more about it.
You know, the Angels front office and coaching staff had a bit of a disagreement over the Sabermetrics end of baseball last month. Resulted in their general manager, Jerry DiPoto, resigning.
Yeah, the manager, Mike Scioscia, won that battle, and since that time, they've been playing very good baseball.
Reports are essentially Jerry DiPoto, the GM, didn't think that enough of their scouting reports and statistical information that the front office was preparing for the players, Jerry didn't think enough of that was being actually presented to the guys. Two very opposite ends of the spectrum there, obviously.
Now, general managers, they have to be on the same page to be successful.
Out of play by Ibar. Artie Moreno, who's owned the Angels since 2003, has had Mike Scioscia as his manager that entire time. He's stuck by Scioscia. 16 seasons at the helm here in Anaheim. 1-2. Ooh. Close to the corner, 2-2. Scioscia, by the way, by far and away, is the longest tenured current manager in the game. 16 years. Full count on Eric Ibar. I'm going to venture a guess as to who the second most tenured manager would be.
No.
Bruce Bochy in San Francisco.
Okay.
And he's got 9. Full count. Got him looking. Fastball from Miley and a little extra giddy up to it.
You see the way he set him up. I mean, everything was away in that at bat, and then he comes in with the fastball right down the middle or a little bit in. And, you know, as a hitter, you see so many pitches away that you think everything is going to be away. And when they come inside like that, they just completely freeze you.
6 strikeouts for Miley. 2 gone in the 5th. And David Freese takes ball 1. Freese grounded to shortstop. That ended the 2nd inning. 2 balls and no strikes. Well, Wade Miley has certainly had the entire repertoire of pitches working thus far tonight. The 2-0. It's the first 3-0 count of the evening.
Yeah, the big thing is he's been down in the strike zone all night long. If it hasn't been a strikeout, most generally it's been a ground ball out.
Freese takes strike 1. This will be the 70th pitch delivered by Miley, who tries to finish a 5th inning, having not allowed a runner. On the ground to second base to Hopsat Pedroia. On to the 6th. Still scoreless here in Anaheim. through 5 innings. On to the 6th with the 2, 3, and 4 hitters due up for Boston. Pedroia, Bogaerts, and Ortiz. The Hurlers dominating game 1 after the All-Star break. Strike 1 on Pedroia, who's flown out to right field twice. Becoming a game of who will blink first. One and one the count from Wilson. Out of play, right field side. Wilson ahead 1-2. Are you looking for ways to entertain employees or clients? Take them out for a night at Fenway Park to watch your beloved Red Sox. Visit redsox.com/groups for more information. They even come out on the West Coast.
Yeah, as usual, a lot of Red Sox fans here at in Anaheim to watch the Red Sox play.
1-2. Play for the second baseman, Johnny Giovatella. And Pedroia is 0 for 3. Nesson is proud to support the National Suit Drive in July. When you make a donation of gently used professional clothing at any Men's Warehouse location, you help unemployed men and women look their best as they re-enter the workplace. Learn more at nationalsuitdrive.com. One out for Bogaerts. He's got one of the Red Sox 3 base hits. Doubled back in the first. Wilson's 1-0. On the corner, it's 1-1. Well, what a first half for Xander Bogaerts. Led all American League shortstops in hits, RBI, and doubles. And many feel, and I think many of us in this booth feel, that he was one of the bigger snubs from the All-Star game.
I certainly was hoping that Xander would make a appearance at the All-Star game. I felt that he more than deserved it.
2-2.
Just goes to show what some experience at the big league level would get you, and that's what Bogaerts learned a lot about last year.
Chasing a high fastball. Bogaerts fans for the second out of the inning.
Now, very rarely does Xander chase the ball that's that far out of the strike zone, that high. They wanted to go inside and see the catcher setting up inside, but that ball takes off up and away, and Bogaerts can't stay off it.
4th strikeout for Wilson. So he tries to finish 6 shutout, and we'll have to deal with David Ortiz. Singled back in the 4th, and that's just out of the reach. Shortstop Ibar was the one trying to grab it. Ortiz has his second hit. A little bit of a dance as he reaches first base for Big Papi, 2-out runner for Hanley Ramirez.
It looked like and sounded like it was toward the end of the bat for David Ortiz. A little line drive that's going to go past Ibar, who was in the shift. And so Big Papi 2 for 5, 2 for 3, I should say, on the night. Hit a line drive to third base for the first out.
Couple of singles against the left-hander Wilson. So here is Hanley. The double play came back in the 4th inning after Ortiz's first base hit. At the bottom of the strike zone, 0-1. Hanley homered in 4 of his last 9 games before the All-Star break. Leads the team in those this year. 1-1 the count. I think somewhat quietly, Hanley leads this team in home runs and runs batted in. Runs and slugging percentage as well. 1-1. That went to the shortstop Ibar. May have broken the bat, and we head to the bottom of the 6th. Scoreless game. C.J. Cron lifts the first pitch to Mookie Betts. And that is how the bottom of the 6th inning gets underway. A 1-pitch out for Wade Miley. Tune in to Bruins Summer Face-Off Live Monday at 8:30. Andy Berkeley and Billy Jaffe will have reaction from this week's team developmental camp. Bruins Summer Face-Off Live is presented by your local New England Nissan dealers. Got a Bees jersey here at Angel Stadium. 16 consecutive. Retired by Wade Miley. Now Chris Iannetta behind 0-1. A strikeout victim his first time, and now it's 1-1. Miley has 6 strikeouts through 5 innings. 2-1 to the Angels catcher Iannetta. Miley has been, I think, in total sync there with Ryan Hannigan tonight. 3-1 here, though. There have been more 3-ball counts the last couple of innings. And the first base runner of the night for the Angels comes on a 1-out walk. So a 1-out base runner. Time now to check out the results of tonight's Dunkin' Donuts poll question. We asked, did you like the new home run derby format in Cincinnati? And you responded. Very much in the affirmative. Thanks to everybody who participated in that. I think that seems to be the general consensus from the baseball world. They all seem to, for the most part, like what happened in that home run derby that Todd Frazier, the hometown guy, was able to win. Albert Pujols was in that competition. So here's Daniel Robertson. Nothing in 1 that counts. Miley has to go to work from the stretch. Still scoreless. The man on first, Robertson, lashes it into the seats. 0-2. That scattered some of the patrons right over that first base dugout. So Miley bouncing back to get ahead 0-2. Robertson fouled that right to the on-deck circle. Johnny Giavotella caught that in the on-deck circle with a bare hand. Coming up on NESN Sports Today, Adam Pellerin and Tom Caron will have complete postgame coverage, and you'll hear from John Farrell. That's tonight on NESN Sports Today, presented by People's United Bank. See what we know how can do. See what know how can do. One ball and 2 strikes. You could see the 81st pitch from Wade Miley, and Jerry, we're starting to see some longer at bats against him.
Yeah, I think this last pitch by design here, they wanted to go up in the strike zone and try to get Robertson to chase that. He wouldn't do it. Now fastball inside. Let's see if he gets it in that zone.
In the air into left center, Hanley Ramirez has a play. Over in the gap for out number 2. Back to first goes Iannetta. Well hit by Daniel Robertson.
I don't know. It seems to me, watching Hanley play the outfield, that he plays it better on the road. And I thought at the beginning of spring training that he would play it better at Fenway Park, but that hasn't been the case. It seems like the more room he has to roam, the more comfortable he looks in the outfield. It's almost like he feels all bottled up at home with that wall behind him, but on the road, where he can run a little bit, he seems to be more comfortable making plays on fly balls.
2 out in the 6th, and Johnny Giavotella takes ball 1. How much does having that big green monster behind you play into that?
That's the whole point of it. I mean, I think that he feels claustrophobic out there in left field at Fenway Park with the wall behind him.
Giavotella 0 for 2. To shortstop and Bogarts. Miley gives up his first runner, but we remain scoreless after 6. The Steelers, no runs, 4 hits through 6 innings for Wilson. Wade Miley even better through 6 innings, and we remain scoreless here in Anaheim. It'll be Sandoval, Napoli, and Victorino due up for the Red Sox. Pablo tonight has walked and grounded out to second, and Giavotella has an easy play. A 1-pitch out for C.J. Wilson. As promised earlier in the game, we have selected the Data Strong fan photo of the game. Tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag NESSENDataStrongFan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. Brought to you by T-Mobile. There he is, Kenneth M. Our strongest fan photo of the game. Now Mike Napoli. I told you earlier, he homered twice in a game against Wilson back in May.
And I'm sure Wilson in this situation will try to do his best to keep the ball away from Napoli. He got beat twice by him in Boston on pitches inside. Fastball and a slider.
1 out, the 1-0. Wilson approaching 90 pitches. They haven't had anything of any inkling bullpen action thus far tonight. 3-0.
Now Napoli just might have the green light here, 3-0. I mean, I know he's going bad, but it's a guy he hits good.
See if they turn him loose. He did, and he fouled it off. Sunday on an all-new Charlie Moore catch East Boston native and Patriots Super Bowl champion Jermaine Wiggins. Now you've seen him on NESN Sports Today, but now you can see how Wiggy handles the rough seas in Seabrook, New Hampshire. It's ball 4 to Napoli. So anyway, Sunday morning, we got some saltwater fishing with the Mad Fisherman and Jermaine Wiggins. Catch Charlie Moore outdoors Sunday at 7. In for Don Orsillo this trip, Josh Mauer and Jerry Remy.
Welcome.
You know, sitting next to you is a pleasure. So thanks for being so welcoming.
Not many people say that.
From the bottom of here, I mean it. What a game.
Oh, great game.
Now Victorino. 1 for 2. He's got one of the 4 Red Sox hits. Still have a 0 in that column for the LA Angels tonight. Wilson and Miley, the pitchers, have been the story. And you wouldn't think that Mike Napoli would be off and running. Wilson just checking on him, letting him know he's thinking about it.
Now the other option would be the hit run. And that would be more likely now with the count 1-1. Going to try to create some kind of offense in this 0-0 ball game.
Tomorrow, Dining Playbook comes to you from Salem, Mass. Billy and Jenny have a review of Nick Verano's newest venture, the Modern Steakhouse Strip by Strega. That one got away from Iannetta, and without needing to put him in motion on the pitch, Napoli takes second.
That was pretty strange right there. Just a fastball down the middle that Chris Iannetta couldn't handle. Let's see what happens here. Just never went in the pocket of the glove. And that allows Napoli to get in a scoring position at second base. I wonder if the bat head of Victorino kind of got in front of the eyes of Iannetta, because that's not a pitch that he'll generally box up.
It was ruled a pass ball, and it was a called strike. So 1-2 on Victorino. And now the 95th pitch in the air to left. Daniel Robertson takes charge. There's the second out. So it's up to Hannigan with Napoli still at second. For every Red Sox game that goes into extra innings, or the Sox get a save, CVS Pharmacy will make a donation to Children's Hospital towards a $25,000 commitment once again this season. CVS Pharmacy. It's the official pharmacy of the Boston Red Sox. Scoreless in the 7th inning. And here is Hannigan, who has walked and struck out. One ball and no strikes. Napoli, right before the break, reached base in 10 of his final 18 plate appearances. 5 hits, 5 walks. Swinging a hot bat before the All-Star break. At the letters, and now Wilson evens the count at 1-1. Playing under darkened skies on a gorgeous Friday, Angels Stadium of Anaheim. Beautiful setting to begin the unofficial second half of the year. And locked in a pitcher's duel. It's outside, 2-1 on Hannigan. I alluded to this earlier. You made your major league debut in this park before they renovated it.
Yes, I did. Got a base hit, drove in a run, got picked off on the next pitch. What a debut.
I missed that part. I looked in the box score. I saw the 1 for 3 with an RBI. I did not see the pickoff.
Yeah.
2-1 is a play for the center fielder Trout. Mike Trout settles and will stretch in Anaheim, scoreless. The Boston area Infinity retailer for a test drive today. Southpaw starring Jake Gyllenhaal in theaters everywhere July 24th, and by your local Subaru dealers. Well, let's take a look at Wade Miley's night through 6 brilliant innings in a scoreless game.
Yeah, 9 first pitch strikes. He's had 6 3-ball counts. Full counts 3. See the 6 strikeouts, only 1 walk, and kept the ball down. 8 ground ball outs.
Calhoun leads off into center field, and Betts racing back. He won't get it. That ball hit off the fence, and Cole Calhoun is into second base. The first hit of the night for the Angels on the first pitch of the 7th inning.
Calhoun working against Miley, 0 for 2 in the ball game. Did not want to fall behind in the count. So he gets out there early. First pitch, supposed to be a fastball away. It is away, but he hooks the ball to straightaway center field and deep. Gives you a pretty good idea how strong Calhoun is. That ball off the wall, about halfway up off the wall, and played on one hop by Mookie Betts. So a man immediately in scoring position for the Angels.
So now after giving up his first base hit, Miley tries to bear down against two of the toughest hitters in baseball and keep the Angels from taking a lead. Trout and Pujols, the next two men up. Trout tonight has grounded out and struck out. Ball 1. I almost laugh as I say this. Sometimes in a scoreless game in the 7th, you'd think about a bunt. Never, ever, ever with this man up there. 1-0. Betts back to the track. Betts right in front of the fence to make the catch. It will advance Calhoun over to third base. A deep fly ball from Mike Trout.
It shows you the kind of player Trout is. You know, he knows he's going to go that distance with that ball that's away from him, and he knows he's got the power to drive it far enough right there where if Betts catches it, the runner at second can tag up and go to third. So Calhoun at third base now with only one out. Red Sox pull the infield in with Pujols at the plate.
Now with first base open, Jerry, would you think about an intentional walk here?
I don't think so. I think you go right after Pujols. If you fall behind 2 balls and no strikes, then maybe you change that.
Right after him there with a strike, fastball. Less than 50% getting that runner home in these situations this year for Pujols. The man who's driven in 56 on the year, 1-1. A strikeout in the 2nd, a ground out in the 5th. And you can see there the left side of the infield in behind Miley. That is shallow into right field. A long run. Victorino comes in. No chance to tag Calhoun on that one. A big out number 2.
Yeah, and a good play by Victorino because the infield's in, so that becomes a very, very difficult play for Pedroia or Napoli. And Victorino coming all the way in to make that catch. See where they're playing. And this ball's not hit deep at all, but still it's a long way for those 2 guys to go. Victorino takes charge of this. So huge out for Miley.
So as you see Miley appreciating the effort, everybody back to regular depth on the infield. One more tough out to get in order to keep the game scoreless. It's Eric Ibar, 0 for 2 tonight.
Nice block by Hannigan. That ball bouncing out in front of the home plate, and he takes it off the chest and leaves that man at third base. I'll tell you, I wouldn't be at all surprised, Ibar, if he tries to drop a bunt down for a base hit and bring in a run at the same time. We'll see.
.238 in these situations on the year is the veteran Ibar. 1-0. 2 balls, no strikes. At third base, Sandoval is about even with the bag. On the ground, a tough play for the shortstop. Bogarts with the off-balance throw. Terrific play by Xander Bogarts to keep the game scoreless after 7.
a man at third base. You got a guy with speed going down the first base line. You've got to be perfect, and Bogaerts was perfect on that backhanded play. Talk about making a play under pressure. That was terrific by Bogaerts. And Miley appreciates that.
I'm sorry, Jerry. Nobody would appreciate it more than the pitcher. Into the 8th inning, C.J. Wilson still on the hill for the Angels. Xander Bogaerts, with that play, stranded the game's first run at third base. 0-2 on Mookie Betts. Pedroia, and then Bogaerts to follow. It's the top of the order in the inning. 0-2. Out of play. Still a couple of strikes on Mookie. Another 0-2 to Betts. In a shallow center and a play from Mike Trout. One out. It's time for a game break. Brought to you by Jordan's, the furniture store of the Boston Red Sox. Here's Tom Caron. Thank you, Tom. And so the Yankees now 7 games ahead of the Red Sox in that AL East up to the moment. One out in the 8th. Pedroia in his return is 0 for 3. A play for Robertson in left. Plenty of room before the warning track. Couple of flyouts in the inning for Wilson. For every home run the Red Sox hit the rest of the season, Alltown will donate $500 to Boston Children's Hospital. Alltown is New England's premier healthier convenience retailer. You see the right-hander Trevor Gott. He's getting loose. 106th pitch from Wilson at the knees on Bogaerts, strike 1. Double barrel action actually out there now for Los Angeles. Nothing in 2 on Bogaerts. He doubled back in the first. Wilson, you'd have to figure, is in his final inning of work. He's trying to finish 8 scoreless. The veteran has been terrific. And the 0-2 to Bogaerts. What a play by Pujols, but he's not going to get help from his pitcher. Wilson was late to cover. I'm not sure the throw would have beaten him anyway, and it's an infield hit for Xander Bogaerts.
Now C.J. Wilson not getting his part of the job done, and that's covering first base. A great place by Pujols. That diving play, but then he looks up and his pitcher's going to be late getting there. Can't handle the baseball. See Wilson falling off toward the third base side, then he hesitated a little bit. By that time, Bogaerts is well by him.
You got to break if you're the pitcher, Jerry, as soon as you see the ball hit to the right side of the infield, correct?
It's hard, too, sometimes for left-handers because most are falling off toward that third base side, so they're a step behind as it is. And then for some odd reason, I think he thought the ball was going to get through, and he kind of hesitated before he started up again.
Now the first pitching coach visit tonight. This is Cesar Ramos, the left-hander, joining Trevor Gott in that Angels bullpen. The batter is going to be David Ortiz.
One more look at that last play. C.J. Wilson a little bit late. Now watch him fall off toward third base, and then by the time he regroups, he doesn't get going right away. He's got absolutely no chance at all. He's actually fortunate the ball didn't get away from him or by him, and Bogaerts would end up at second base.
So 2 out for David Ortiz. Join the Bruins Foundation in Nantucket on Sunday, August the 2nd from 6 to 9:30 at the Chicken Box for the Boston Bruins Foundation Nantucket Benefit Show. Listen to great music and mingle with Bees alumni. Proceeds benefit the Nantucket Star and Bruins Foundation. For more information and to purchase tickets, visit bostonbruins.com/foundation. It's August the 2nd. Well, the long conference on the mound ends. The go-ahead run is at first. Breaking ball to David Ortiz. And Wilson ahead 0-1.
Notice the outfield very, very deep in this situation. They don't want anything over their head or in a gap where that run can score from first base. Trying to play everything in front of them.
Bogarts leads from first. Iannetta scoots outside. The block ball one.
Here's the position in the outfield, all very, very deep. Prevent defense.
Calhoun in right field could take 2 steps back and be on the warning track. 9 pitches shy of a season high is C.J. Wilson. Well, they talked with the pitching coach about how to attack Ortiz, who does have 2 hits tonight against the left-hander. In the left, Robertson towards the line and in. Daniel Robertson makes the grab. We go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Wade Miley delivers ball 1 to David Freese as the left-hander is out for an 8th inning of work. Scoreless game here in Anaheim. Out of play for Freese, who's 0 for 2 tonight. Well, for the first time tonight, Jerry, the bullpen begins to loosen. A rested bullpen after the All-Star break, and there's Junichi Tozawa.
And there's a guy that really needed some rest too, Tozawa.
2-1 on Freese. Miley gave up his first hit of the game in the 7th. Cole Calhoun doubled, was later stranded at third. That's back into the screen. It's 2-2. Tomorrow at 8, don't miss Red Sox First Pitch, presented by Joseph Abood, available at Men's Warehouse. TC and Steve Lyons will chronicle Tommy Lane's journey to the big leagues. Tune in tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. Freese just able to get a piece of that. Reaches out and pokes it foul. The longest outing of the season for Wade Miley came against these Angels back in May. He went 8 innings. He would love to get 3 more outs and duplicate that feat tonight. 99th pitch. Ball 3. These past few innings, Wade has had to work a lot harder than he did earlier in the night. A full count pitch. Still 3-2 on David Freese. So now at 100 pitches, it's the left-hander. And Freese takes ball 4 low. Just the second free pass issued by Wade Miley tonight. We're going to have a pinch runner here for Freese. And that brings John Farrell out of the dugout. He has made the wave to the bullpen. So the 101st pitch of the night is the end of it for Wade Miley. A terrific evening for the left-hander. To you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now on southwest.com. Sullivan Tire and Auto Service. Thank you, New England, for 60 great years. Digital Federal Credit Union. See what DCU can save you. And by the Kia Sorrento. Wade Miley finished after 7+ innings. He leaves after walking David Freese. And now this call to the bullpen brought to you by Kia. Here comes Junichi Tozawa. 40th appearance of the year. You can see the ERA very good. C.J. Cron pops up the very first pitch. Napoli, the first baseman, he makes the call, moving towards the mound, makes the catch. Well, Tozawa has to love that. A 1-pitch out. And the runner, a pinch runner, stays put at first base. There you see that runner, Taylor Featherston. Get immediate care without leaving the ballpark at the Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center First Aid Station located behind Section 12 on the lower concourse. BIDMC is the official hospital of the Boston Red Sox.
Now here's a situation where, a hit and run comes into play because you got a nothing ball game. You get some speed at first base, working toward the bottom of the lineup.
Chris Iannetta is the hitter. Tozawa with a quick move. I think he was thinking along the same lines as you.
A little jab step toward second base by Featherston at first base.
Featherston 2 out of 3 in stolen base attempts this year. So Tozawa in the 8th. And he gets ahead of Iannetta. You see 0 for 1 with a walk tonight against Miley. Last time he pitched, Junichi picked up his 14th hold of the season. Saturday night, that was against the Yankees. As you said, he has been a workhorse out of the bullpen for John Farrell. 0-1. Foul tipped into the mitt. Strike 2 on Iannetta.
It's Iannetta to chase a high fastball that might have been out of the strike zone that time. That's one you kind of hope they make contact on because they'll probably pop it up.
Iannetta, 32 years of age. The #1 catcher for the Angels. 1 on, 1 out in the 8th. Off the corner, just away. 1 ball and 2 strikes. .94 miles an hour.
Split-fingered fastball.
The 1-2. There it was. Iannetta didn't chase, and Hannigan did a nice job of blocking.
Now that splitter you always expect in the dirt if you're a catcher, so you're immediately down on the knees trying to block it. That's all Hannigan does. He softens it up and keeps that runner at first base. Nice job by Hannigan.
Two and 2 with Featherston at first. Runner in motion on a liner to right. Victorino gets there just in fair territory on a close play back at first. Featherston was in motion on the pitch. Boy, Victorino not only made a nice catch, but Jerry, he made a heck of a throw.
Yeah, they made challenges too at first base. John Farrell on the top step of the dugout. Take another look at Featherston going back in head first. Does Napoli have the baseball? And then it looks like they are going to look at it.
John Farrell has asked for a review. Went out to the crew chief, Hunter Wendelstedt. Boy, that's close. What'd you think?
Well, from the angle I saw, I thought he'd get back in time. But if you watch Red Sox baseball, I'm not very good on these reviews. And I hope I'm wrong on this one.
So close in such a big spot. I think that is worth a second look for sure. And I saw after the play immediately some of the Red Sox players on the field pointing to the dugout saying, review this.
Yeah, it's tough to tell where the baseball is right there from that angle, and they're going to call him safe.
So Featherston just able to get back on out number 2 in the inning. Relatively quick review there. One more look. I think it did look like the hand of Featherston just got to the bag in time.
Yeah, I think the right hand got in there in plenty of time.
Another fine catch by Victorino. So here's Daniel Robertson.
Whoa.
That throw almost skipped away from Napoli.
Hey, Red Sox got a little lucky here. I think that ball hit Featherston at first base. Take another look at the pickoff attempt. Where does it hit? Yes, it hits the under the arm and slows it up. And that's not going to allow him to go to second base and get in scoring position. That ball goes through clean. The Angels are in business with a man at second base.
Tazawa has come in and induced a pop out and then a line out. And now he deals with the number 9 hitter Robertson, who's 0 for 2 tonight. Tazawa trying to send us into the 9th. Well, now with 2 outs, I would think, Jerry, that the likelihood of Featherston running again would increase even more.
Oh, absolutely. You know, they got to try to do anything to get a man in scoring position right here instead of staying back and waiting for the long ball.
That runner does belong to Miley. 1-0. Two and 0.
Zawa trying to snap off his first curveball of the night, missing badly with it.
Bullpen activity for each team. C.J. Wilson pitched 8 scoreless innings for the Angels tonight, and he's likely finished. Tazawa's 2-0. It's 3-0 on Daniel Robertson.
Now not even close on the 2-0 count here. Misses down out of the strike zone.
The 3-0. And therefore strike 3-1. Alexi Ogando is the one beginning to throw in the Red Sox bullpen. You see the left-hander Tommy Lane joins him as well. Scoreless in the bottom of the 8th with 2 out. The 3-1 runner goes. Line to left, Ramirez has it lined up. Tazawa strands a runner. We head to the 9th. fair now at southwest.com. We remain scoreless. A terrific pitcher's duel tonight at Angel Stadium into the 9th inning, and Joe Smith, one of the best middle relievers in the game, takes over. You see the numbers, not only 3 and 2, he also leads the major leagues with 22 holds this season.
Wade Miley outstanding in this ball game tonight. 6 strikeouts, only giving up the 1 hit to Calhoun. Well, look at the 6 strikeouts right now, and Miley, for the most part, able to keep the ball down in the zone all night long. Got a few pitches up later in the ball game, but for the first part of it, everything down. A changeup right there for a strikeout. Breaking ball to Trout. Ibar, fastball away.
6 strikeouts total for Miley, so he goes 7 shutout. Meanwhile, C.J. Wilson 8 scoreless innings for the Angels. Ramirez, Sandoval, and Napoli against the new pitcher Smith. 1-1 the count on Hanley. He's flown out, hit into a double play, and lined to short. 111 pitches from C.J. Wilson. It got him through his 8 innings of work. Some power bats due up in the 9th against Smith. Falls behind Ramirez, 2-1. Smith, a 31-year-old right-hander. 3-1. It's his 39th relief appearance of the season for Mike Scioscia.
There's that natural movement on that fastball, moving in to right-handed hitters with that drop down to the side delivery.
A hitter's count to Ramirez at 3-1. Smith took something off that, and it's a full count. The number is not good in his career against this right-hander for Hanley.
See the movement back down and in to Hanley Ramirez. No contact that time, and runs the count to 3-2.
The payoff. Over the outside corner, strike 3. Ramirez didn't think so.
Well, it was a strike, and you know, again, you get so conscious of the ball inside that when they go outside, you're completely frozen. And that happened again this time to Hanley Ramirez. He saw so many pitches inside in that at bat, and they go to the outside part of the plate. The tail on it brings it back to the corner.
So Smith comes from behind in the count to record a strikeout of his first batter faced. And now here's Pablo Sandoval, facing a right-hander for the first time tonight. Sandoval 0 for 2. He walked back in the 2nd. At a play 0-2. This is the one hit, Jerry, that Wade Miley allowed in his 7+ innings of work.
Cole Calhoun straightaway center field, very deep. About halfway up that wall. Mookie Betts no way to track that down. And the double by Calhoun, the only hit that Miley gave up tonight.
Into left field, hard hit. Robertson in front of the track. 2 down in the 9th inning. Opposite field drive there from Pablo Sandoval. Now you see Koji Uehara. Ready and loose in the Red Sox pen. So now Napoli with 2 out. And Smith hits that one off of his foot right to the shortstop Ibar. Wow. Smith got smoked but the out goes 1-6-3. We go to the bottom of the ninth. No runs to speak about, Jerry Remy. Great pitching performances from the lefties, Wade Miley and C.J. Wilson.
Now, it kind of highlighted it, too, at the beginning of the ball game, how, you come back from a break, get 3 or 4 days off, and the bat's a little bit rusty. I don't know if that's the case tonight. I think we just seen very good pitching on both sides. Miley for the Red Sox, C.J. Wilson for the Angels, and now it's up to the bullpen. It's a bullpen game, and we'll see how it works out. Koji Uehara into the ball game for the Red Sox.
So John Farrell calls on his closer in a tie game in the ninth. 37th appearance. You can see 22 of 24 in save opportunities for Koji, who has had 10 consecutive scoreless appearances. Facing the top of the Angels order in the ninth, Giavotella takes it a little bit high, 1-0. Cole Calhoun and Mike Trout to follow. As you can see, Giavotella hitless tonight. 2-0. And I wonder, Jerry, if the decision by John Farrell to go to Uehara now would have anything to do with the fact that this part of the order is up for the Angels.
I don't think there's any doubt. That's a very good call on your part. I think if you're working toward the bottom of the lineup, you probably somebody like a Gondo in the ball game right now instead of Uehara, but the game's on the line right now.
The 2-1. Good cut. Johnny Giavotella, it's 2-2.
Been upstairs a little bit with this one. Fastball at 87, but foul straight back.
There's the man with the lone hit tonight for the Angels, Cole Calhoun. 2-2. Into shallow right. A play for Pedroia. One down for Koji in the ninth. This was the first pitch at the bottom of the 7th inning against Wade Miley for Cole Calhoun.
That ball's on the outside part of the plate, and Calhoun still hooks it high off that wall for the double. And that was it, hit-wise, against Miley in this game.
Each of the starting pitchers went up over the century mark in pitcher stand. Again, first pitch swinging Calhoun, and that time he taps a foul. Calhoun, no success to speak of against Uehara in his career. Calhoun's a youngster. It's only his second season getting full-time action for Mike Scioscia. Good pop from the left side. 1-1. Two and one. 1-1, I beg your pardon. Now 1-2. An important out to get here. A, because of this situation, and B, because of the man on deck, Mike Trout. You see the bullpen back up. Joe Smith got hit in the lower body with a line drive to end the top of the inning. Calhoun didn't chase. It's 2-2. The Angels got the out on Napoli's hard ground ball, but Smith, the Los Angeles pitcher, somewhat hobbled his way off of the diamond. One down in the ninth. Two down on a strikeout. Uehara gets Calhoun.
Yeah, probably the best splitter that Uehara has thrown since coming into the ball game. Had some down action and away action from Calhoun.
So now it's Trout. Tomorrow at 8:30, don't miss Red Sox Game Day Live, presented by DCU. Trout takes strike one. TC and Steve Lyons will preview an important start for Rick Porcello. It's against the Angels tomorrow. DCU, Digital Federal Credit Union. What can DCU save you? Trout is 0 for 3 and hitless in his career against Uehara. That ball in the center. Betts at the track. The Angels win it on a walk-off for Mike Trout. 1-0 in the bottom of the ninth inning. One of the biggest stars in the game, coming off of his